Okay, minasan, this is a theory video to discuss what if there is no such thing as a disaster and all of this is just a distraction onto the real thing that is about to happen in this latest arc of Kamen Rider Geats. For those who do not know, this latest arc of Kamen Rider Geats is called Divergence. It means splitting ways. It means going two separate ways. And I really see this in the Jyamato Rider and also the Kamen Rider itself. But what if like that is kind of like the main point of the divergence, but I really see this betraying right among riders, like doubting one another, who is the disaster, something like that, is more of a distraction rather than the main dish, because the main dish of the show right now is definitely the introduction of Buffa using the Jyamato rice bucket, and I really have a feeling that he's gonna side with the Jyamato and gain the power to beat Ukyo S at the end of the day by becoming kind of like a little bit of kind of like a Jyamato champion, a Jyamato king, something like that. That is just my theory. But we are here to discuss the possibility, like what if there is no disaster. So you might be thinking to yourself, like, impossible, there has to be a disaster. If not, the action that Sparrow takes in episode 18 doesn't actually make sense. Let me explain to you why I think we can actually explain Sparrow properly. One thing we know about Sparrow is that he is really intrigued with how the human mind works. So he is very smart. He has so many ideas. He's like Yagami like, but he doesn't understand human at all. So that is Sparrow in of what we know so far. So why do he actually purposefully went and asked Sakurai Kewa, hey, what happened to you just now in the game? And the reason I felt like he asked this is really pure interest, pure curiosity, something like that. He just want to find out why did Kewa stop fighting? Why did Kewa not fight against the Jyamato itself? And the reason why Sparrow actually tried to kind of like push the blame, or should I say push the idea that Kewa is the disaster to the rest of the group itself, is because he really want to see how Kewa, someone like Kewa, would react in such situation, and he will also try to see how other people are actually acting in that particular situation itself. Is like, are people gonna trust him, or are people gonna like protect Kewa or something like that? I feel like he's just having the time of his life, like trying to stir some shit up for the pure purpose of understanding human better. And I one thing that I think Kewa said really well in episode 17 is like, knowing what the player actually wishes for actually help us to understand them more, to understand whether or not they could actually be a disaster or not. So this is very interesting. So Sparrow did what he would normally do, trying to stir some shit for his own personal entertainment itself, because one thing we know is that once you get voted out as the disaster, you're not gonna get eliminated, you're not gonna get teleported away using the red light, but instead you're gonna get retired using the blue light itself. So this is really interesting, okay, because like he see no harm in doing this, like instigating or like kind of trying to put people pointing guns at one another or something like that. Or maybe he is like legit the disaster, we do not know. But this video is to discuss the idea that maybe there is no such thing as a disaster. So another person in the show itself that is like very sassy right now, that might actually seem like a disaster, is Neon Kurama, because she is awfully like being very meek. Like she kind of like goes back to her usual meek form in the first arc that she always stays behind Sae. She tried to stay behind Lopo, trying to get Lopo to protect her and gaining the trust of Lopo, something like that. So I really felt like Neon Kurama is doing some shit here. But in order for us to understand that, hey, maybe like this video purpose is to discuss the possibility that there is no such thing as a disaster. So what Neon is doing right now is just purely because there are more reliable female, like finally in the show. That is why she gravitated towards leaning towards someone, something like that, because we know Neon is looking for true love. And why would you want love? Part of the reason is because you want to rely on them, something like that. So this is just a really short video to discuss the possibility on why they need the idea of disaster and why there is no such thing as a disaster, and also explaining the action of Sparrow tagging in the show itself. So if this turns out to be true, if there is like really no such thing as a disaster, I really felt like the idea of Kewa having an evil side or another personality inside of him is gonna come as a really surprise to really stir some shit up. It's like people is gonna realize that, hey, there is no such thing as a disaster, but at the same time Kewa show his another identity, like another personality, and people just like loses their shit. It's like, what the fuck, man? It's like we thought we agreed that there is no such thing as a disaster, and why are you betraying us? And I felt like there is gonna be a really interesting plot twist or something like that. But I never know, okay? This is just a theory. Like I said, feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Goodbye. Subscribe if you haven't.